We just got our first look at the Highlands fishing expansion for Farming Simulator 25, and it's looking pretty good. In a live stream prepared for FarmCon 25, Martin and Benny from Giant Software showed off the DLC with the help of a few other guys around the office. We got to see a multitude of different things, but I want to let you know they didn't drive any boats, so just be aware. So we got to see around the outside of the port area, around the town area, which very Scottish. I'm loving this. We've got a new bus right here. We got a new train, which is unfortunately covered up by this sign. We got new types of fencing. May I present? Bridge. What everyone assumes to be a buildable castle. Gameplay of onions. Well, not really gameplay, but we got to look at it in the game. A look at some new fishing productions. And equipment, of course. And just for funsies, a lizard boat. Now, there was also a lot of other stuff that we didn't see yet, but do keep in mind, we're still like 4 months away from the release. DLC's probably not done yet. However, pre-orders are live right now, so if you want to pick it up and get ready for it, you can do that. So let's make it happen, and we're gonna start at the very beginning around the 306-ish mark in their video. I have some notes written down here of the port area. The bird right here, I don't know what flock? Crowd, they said bird crowd, a crowd of birds. It's a bunch of seagulls that are flying around, which is very, very cool. We can also see some boats down there at the very bottom. You have the Scottish flag. Naturally, that was the location, I think, of one of the screenshots, and over here on the left-hand side was the location of another screenshot. So many birds all the way around. Absolutely insane. This right here, definitely one of the screenshots that we had. To the right-hand side right here, what we've got is an industrial area where fish are sold. So that is going to be your fish market. As we pan back over to the left-hand side, this is the old town of the map. It's got increased detail. So Giant set out to have increased level of detail on this map specifically. And there's like stone down. Be somebody who's visited Scotland a couple times over the past few years. Yeah, this is pretty close. Here we've got a bus driving on the correct side of the road. Looks like we've got a farm out there on the left-hand side now. Going past my big old head. Traffic's on the right side. People are walking on the correct side. You've also got a sign right here. Kitten lag. You got a steam engine going right now. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. All right, my big head got out of the way. I'm so sorry. Here we've got some stone fencing. Now, the stone fencing actually works as a fence, so you will be able to use this for your farm or for your map. I'm not quite sure if you'll be able to utilize this completely. You've also got more hedging that you can use for fencing as well, which is very, very cool. How neat is that? You got another car driving down. That's awesome. This is work in progress footage, so heads up there. Here again, we can see some more hedges, and we've got, is that an aqueduct? I'm not quite sure, but it's a train bridge. That's what it's called. Train's gonna come across there. It's pretty darn cool. And then this part right here, which I think everybody is expecting to be a castle. Is it a buildable castle? We'll have to wait and find out, but they tease that. Here we got a couple more members of Giant Software. Benny's there, as well as Stefan Morris. They are working to show you the onion stuff. Now, this is about 6.5 minutes into live stream. Stefan's actually playing from the laptop right there. Here we can see our John Deere, and then on the front, so I'm gonna stop this just for a second. So on the front of this, we actually have the onions themselves. So we have to the left, the onions, which are unharvested. To the right, the onions, which are already harvested and already have the windrow out for them. It was said that you know that the onions are ready to harvest when those leaves are hanging down and just kind of laying there. Now, I've never seen onions before on a farm, so I have no idea what they look like. We're just gonna have to go for their word here. They also don't grow in rows. However, they grow in beds. They are 5 rows each bed, and they're 1.5 meters wide. So you can take into account that this header is probably, what, 3 meters? Something like that. I would make the assumption anyway. First thing you gotta do is the front machine will cut the leaves from the crops, which then creates a windrow of onions, which goes under the tractor. And here's a side view of it. Past those guys, you can see the windrow right there, which goes under the tractor, and then it will go into the machine on the back. Now, I don't know what the machine is called, but it is the machine on the back. So you might be able to see right below my big old head. But what it's done is it's taken those onions and it goes up the belt. So this back machine does any additional cleaning that has to be done of the onions. Then there's 2 belts. There's one on the left side and one on the right side. Here you go. Here's that. Maybe you could see that a little bit better. Now you can see where to kick the onions off to the left, kick them off to the right, or drop them down, straight dab in the middle. That way you can create multiple rows. Maybe you go up a row and back a row. We got mowers that do very similar things with windrows, things like that. So this doesn't work in any new way, but hey, it's onions, man. Pretty cool. Well, we can actually see what machine that is. If you can see down at the very, very bottom below my head, it says Highlands UMR 300 FC. This is actually a John Deere 6R, and it's the 185 version. And then on the very back, it's looking like it's the Highlands UR205. So those are your machine names if you're curious. Now we get to take a look at the farmyard, and you may have seen there were a couple things behind us. We also have some pretty cool things in front of us. I'm really digging the way that the farmyards look. Very UK, very Scottish. Some of my favorite times. So there you go. Right here in this screenshot, if we can hold it. Go back to it. There we go. This gives us a lot. So here on the left-hand side, we have a production point for fish. Now, this is the small fish production or small fish farm. I'm not quite sure exactly which one it is. They refer to it as both. You can see it is a production. We've got the little cog out right in front of it. Just to the left-hand side of my big old head, we've got a JCB bonnet. Don't worry, I'm going to move my head here in a second so you can see that. Actually, here you go. There, happy. On the bottom left-hand side, we've got pallets of fish. Now, you take little baby fish, which then make medium-sized fish, and then, or small-ish fish, and then those go into the ocean. And so it's like a step 1, step 2. Take little fish, make them bigger, and take the fish that got bigger and make them biggest. Yeah. In order to do that, we also have to feed them, so we got to give them some food. Here is our fish food, just for you to know. And then as we go over here, we can go in and take a look and see. You can see all the little fish kind of down there swimming around and stuff. It does look very, very cool. So we saw our fish production was running. It's a little bit hard to see this, especially from the program I'm using to show this off. But we have young salmon. Todo? I don't know what Todo is. Building storage Todo. To do? Maybe it's to do. And then we have young salmon fish. So that's active production. And we have, again, it's showing up as literage, but everything in the game runs as literage anyway. You just count it as 54 count of fish. Is another goodie. We have what might be a new trailer on the back. I'm really not quite sure, but I do know on the front. So this bad boy is the JCB Fast Track 2115. We saw something similar to this in the Modern Classics DLC that came out in FS19 and 17. However, looks like something like that is going to be added to this DLC. They did say there's some older stuff and newer stuff. We know about the JCB 4220, which I've talked about before, but it is what it is. I don't think that removing something from the base game of one game to the next and then putting it into DLC counts as paid products, but that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. So this now takes us to the next step, and that is on the Lizard ship. This is the next step. So what you would do is bring everything down here. They did kind of hint a little bit at the crane working. However, we're not going to be able to see the crane today, possibly at FarmCon. I'll be there, so I'll be the first one to bring you guys information about that. Here's Benny being awesome, talking about whatever he's talking about. And here is our ship. It does sound like there's a couple different types of ships. This one specifically is a cargo ship, mainly used for bringing small fish to the aquaculture and also for bringing in larger fish to the harbor for selling. Great news. Again, it was teased, but they actually don't show it being used for anything, which is a little bit of a bummer, but there that is. And additionally, they say more to come at FarmCon. So we'll see you there. So that is it. That is everything that we got to see today. The couple pieces of equipment, the hint at fish farming, a little bit of a view around the map itself, but nothing concrete. It's still enough to get us hooked in, if you want to call it that. Was that a good fishing reference? I don't know. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this one. Drop a like, get subscribed if you're new and join the DjGoHam fam. Double check those notifications. That way you never miss videos like this one. We'll have more on this DLC and hopefully the third DLC, which we'll find out soon what that is, hopefully, later on this weekend at FarmCon. So stay tuned. Otherwise, have an awesome day. We'll catch you in the next.